Let's jump right into this explainer. Today we're unpacking the really fascinating structural framework behind the Pan-African holiday of Kwanzaa. As you'll see, it's built on a highly structured blueprint that was designed not just for a celebration, but for actual collective progress.
Think about it for a second. What foundational values actually empower a community to build and solve problems together? Because growth doesn't just happen by accident. It requires intention, shared understanding, and a clear, rock-solid set of guiding principles that everyone can rely on. Keep that core idea of a guiding structure in mind as we go.
Here is our roadmap for today. First, origins of Nguzo Saba. Second, unity and self-determination. Third, work and cooperative economics. Fourth, purpose and creativity. Fifth, the power of faith. And finally, framework for community empowerment.
Let's dive right into Section 1, Origins of Nguzo Saba.
So let's rewind to 1966. That is when Dr. Maulana Karenga developed these core principles, and his intention was really twofold. He wanted to reinforce African heritage, but also provide a direct, actionable framework for collective growth. It was all about creating a system that could be actively used right then and there to strengthen a community.
Now, the term itself, Nguzo Saba, is actually Swahili for 7 principles. Language is such a vital part of heritage. So by naming this framework in Swahili, Dr. Karenga immediately grounded the entire concept in that rich Pan-African identity that the holiday seeks to reinforce.
What's really cool is how these 7 principles map perfectly onto the 7 days of Kwanzaa, running from December 26th to January 1st. Every single day focuses entirely on one specific principle, and it's physically marked by lighting a candle on the kinara. So it's essentially a step-by-step journey through the framework over the course of a week.
Moving right along to Section 2, Unity and Self-Determination.
Day 1 kicks off with Umoja, which means unity. This is the absolute bedrock of the whole shebang. Because before you can build, before you can grow, you absolutely must be united. It's about establishing a foundational bond at the micro level within the family and the macro level out in the community.
Building straight on top of that unity is Kujichagulia. It's the incredibly empowering principle of self-determination. The idea is, once a community is united under Umoja, they then possess the collective strength to figure out their own path, their own identity, and their own creations, rather than just having all those things dictated to them by outside forces.
Let's look at Section 3, Work and Cooperative Economics.
Day 3 brings us to Ujima, which stands for collective work and responsibility. Basically, it takes that idea of unity and puts it to work. It's the realization that community problems are shared problems, and they demand shared cooperative solutions.
And that collective responsibility flows completely naturally into Ujama, or cooperative economics. Think of this as the economic engine of the Nguzo Saba. It ensures that we're supporting our own businesses so that wealth we generate actually stays within the community and uplifts everybody.
Next up is Section 4, Purpose and Creativity. So we have to ground all these actions in Nia, which simply translates to purpose. Nia dedicates the community to a much larger historical continuum. The aim here is a true restoration of traditional greatness. And honestly, this provides a deep historical why for all the hard work and economic cooperation we were just talking about.
And that historical purpose? Well, it directly fuels the 6th principle, Kuumba, or creativity. This is just a vibrant, beautiful commitment to leaving our community better than we inherited it. We're talking about a focus on innovation, artistic expression, and proactive improvement. It ensures the community isn't just surviving, but constantly evolving and enriching its environment.
Which brings us to Section 5, the power of faith. This culminating principle is Imani, meaning faith. After 6 solid days of focusing heavily on action, money, purpose, and creativity, Imani steps in to provide the enduring belief system required to actually sustain those efforts long-term. It calls for deeply believing in our people, our leaders, and our struggle. It's that vital inner strength that keeps the community moving forward even when the work gets really tough.
Finally, wrapping up with Section 6, Framework for Community Empowerment.
When you actually step back and look at all 7 principles together, Umoja, Kujichagulia, Ujamaa, Nia, Kuumba, and Imani, it becomes incredibly clear that this is a highly interconnected framework. It's like a giant puzzle. You literally cannot have cooperative economics without unity. You can't effectively apply creativity without purpose. They are completely designed to function together as a holistic engine for progress.
Because
Ultimately, the Nguzo Saba is designed to, and I quote here, provide a framework for community empowerment and collective growth. Dr. Karenga didn't just create a holiday to celebrate once a year. He literally codified a strategic approach to community building that reinforces heritage while actively driving future growth.
To wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a challenge directly inspired by Kwanzaa. How will you leave your community more beautiful than you inherited it? Seriously, these principles are just as relevant today as they were back in 1966. Think about that as you reflect on the blueprint of Kwanzaa. Thanks so much for learning with me today.